There is a moment in almost every person's life when they realize that staying is hurting them more than leaving ever could. Yet most people don't walk away. They stay in the relationship. They stay in the job. They stay in the friendship. They stay in the argument. They stay in the environment that slowly drains them. Not because they are happy, but because leaving feels terrifying. Why? Because walking away is one of the hardest decisions a human being can make. Not because it requires strength, but because it requires letting go. Human beings naturally become attached. We become attached to people, places, dreams, routines, even pain, because the familiar feels safer than the unknown. Psychologists have long observed that people often prefer predictable discomfort over uncertain freedom. A toxic workplace can feel safer than unemployment. An unhealthy relationship can feel safer than loneliness. A familiar life can feel safer than starting over. Our minds are wired to protect certainty, even when that certainty is making us miserable. This is why so many people confuse endurance with strength. They believe staying proves loyalty. They believe tolerating disrespect proves maturity. They believe sacrificing themselves proves love. But sometimes, the strongest decision is not holding on. It is knowing when to let go. History offers countless examples of this truth. Powerful leaders lost everything because they refused to walk away from unwinnable battles. Businesses collapsed because they couldn't abandon failing strategies. Investors lost fortunes because they refused to accept small losses. The cost of staying often becomes greater than the cost of leaving, yet human pride whispers, just one more chance. There is a psychological reason for this. The more time, energy, and emotion we invest into something, the harder it becomes to leave it, even when leaving is clearly the better choice. People think, I've already spent 5 years here. I've already invested so much. I can't quit now. And so they continue investing in something that no longer serves them. Not because it has a future, but because they cannot accept the past. Walking away also threatens identity. Imagine someone whose entire identity is built around a career, or a relationship, or a dream. Leaving doesn't only mean losing the situation, it means asking a frightening question: who am I without this? Sometimes people remain trapped simply because they fear rebuilding themselves. But there is another side to walking away: freedom. Every meaningful beginning usually starts with an ending. A better career often begins by leaving the wrong one. A healthier relationship begins by ending the unhealthy one. Growth begins the moment comfort ends. Doors rarely open while you're still standing in the doorway you should have left years ago. One of the greatest misunderstandings about walking away is that it means giving up. It doesn't. Giving up is abandoning your future. Walking away is protecting it. There is a difference. Walking away is not quitting on yourself. It is refusing to keep investing in something that is destroying you. Some of the most successful people in history understood this. They knew when to leave, when to pivot, when to stop chasing what no longer worked. Because wisdom is not only knowing what to fight for, it is knowing what is no longer worth fighting for. Modern life makes this lesson even harder. We celebrate persistence. We admire resilience. We tell people, never quit. But persistence without direction becomes stubbornness. Resilience without reflection becomes suffering. Not everything deserves another chance. Not every battle deserves another year of your life. Perhaps the real power of walking away is this. It reminds you that your life has value. Your time has value. Your peace has value. And not everyone deserves unlimited access to them. The moment you realize this, something changes. You stop begging to be chosen. You stop forcing relationships. You stop chasing people who keep running. You stop trying to convince the world of your worth. Because people who know their value don't need to prove it endlessly. Sometimes they simply walk away. Walking away is silent. It doesn't need revenge. It doesn't need drama. It doesn't need the last word. Silence itself becomes the statement. And often, that silence is more powerful than any argument. So perhaps the real question is not, Why do people struggle to walk away? Perhaps the deeper question is, how much of your life are you sacrificing simply because you're afraid to let go? Because perhaps the strongest people are not those who can endure endless pain. Perhaps they are the ones wise enough to recognize when staying has become the greatest mistake of all. Sometimes, the most powerful move you'll ever make is simply walking away.